Good afternoon, everyone. How have you all been? I keep on reading a poem which I like so much, If by Rudyard Kipling. If you can keep your head high when all about you are losing theirs and blaming it on you. If you can wait and not be tired of waiting. If you can dream and not make dreams your master. If you can think and not make thoughts your aim. Well, if is a beautiful poem and I want you all to read it by Rudyard Kipling. Getting back to the concluding part of the Nightingale, uh, this is for BBM and BCA and BSCIT Patliputra. The Nightingale, the bird's symbolism. What does the bird symbolize? They are also an inspiration to develop our spirituality further. Birds are also considered messengers from the spiritual realm, spiritual world. They symbolize peace, transformation, freedom, and power. Peace, like how it gave the poet peace, how it changed him, transformed him from a sad person to a happy person, and a changed person who had stopped writing, but after listening to the bird, he started writing again. Freedom. Now, it symbolizes freedom and power. Words are powerful and they are free. And angels often appear to us in the form of birds, and in rare sightings of angels, people describe them with birds' wings. Getting back to lines forward to 61 and 62. Thou wast not born for death, immortal bird. No hungry generations tread thee down. Now, here the poet is saying that he thinks that the nightingale must be immortal. It can't die. One bird dies and some other bird takes place, and they're almost identical. Being immortal, the nightingale is not followed by future generations. The voice I hear this passing night was heard in ancient days by emperors and clowns. Now he's thinking about the past, that what I'm hearing today, people have heard it in the past as well. He means that the nightingale's voice is immortal because all nightingales produce the same beautiful, haunting, lilting sound. He talks of generations lead him to think of human history, which leads him to think of human history. Emperors and clowns in olden days listened to the same voice of the nightingale that he is hearing now. Line 65 to 67. Perhaps the self same song that found a path through the sad heart of Ruth when sick for home. She stood in tears amid the alien corn. Here he's talking about a woman whose name is Ruth, and who was homesick. She wanted to go home, and the story is that the speaker moves slightly further down back, and the story is that the book of Ruth is one of the lesser known books in the Hebrew Bible. It's mentioned in the Bible. The story goes that Ruth married a man, and moved to a new country. Then her husband died, and Ruth's mother-in-law told her to return home and get married again. But Ruth was like, I'm totally loyal to you and I can't leave you. She supports her mother-in-law by working in the fields and this is a complete strange field, and she stays there at a random place. Eventually she finds a new husband, but then she stays there and she works on the fields, and then she listens to the nightingale and she cries. Keats imagines that Ruth heard the nightingale song while she was working in the field in this foreign land, and that caused her to start weeping, start crying. We wish we had more information on that, how exactly what happened and how exactly he chose this story particularly. It's a curious reference. The same that oftentimes hath charmed magic casement openings on the foam of perilous seas in fairy lands forlorn. He says that, he notes another time that the nightingale's song might have been heard, but now he has left regular human history altogether in favor of fantasy. The nightingale flies out of the window and over the open ocean. There is an air of danger. This is no regular ocean. It is the ocean surrounding a fantasy world or a fairyland. Somehow magic is involved. After it flies out the window, the nightingale is alone and abandoned, forlorn. The nightingale, like with the nightingale, the author again is sad and is left alone, abandoned, and forlorn is sad. Forlorn, the very word is like bell to toll me back from thee to my soul self. Now the author is saying that it reminds the speaker of how he has also been abandoned by the nightingale itself. All of a sudden, he gets sucked back into the normal world with several pleasant stanzas of exploring the nightingale's realm, the nightingale's world. For him, the word forlorn is like when you are having a really great dream and then all of a sudden your alarm reminds you that it's time to wake up and go to class. So it's a big disappointment. The speaker is disappointed. The speaker is pulled back into his own mind, his soul self. He comes back to himself. Line 73 74. Are you? The fancy cannot cheat so well, and she is formed to do deceiving elf. He admits that he attempts to use his imagination, his fancy, to cheat his way into the nightingale's world. He went there without the nightingale knowing it. And then it's all in an imagination that he's cheated himself. The world would have been effective as he would have liked it. He bids goodbye to the bird and then lashes out at his imagination of being a deceiving elf. Elf is a fairy, and small fairy, and he calls his imagination which has cheated him. Line 75 to 78. Are you, thy plaintive anthem fades. Are you is a goodbye in French. The anthem, the nightingale song, the nightingale singing is like an anthem. It fades away, but the bird is flying away, and the song also is fading away slowly. Past the meadows and the still streams, up the hill, and now it is buried deep in the next valley glades. Now it becomes clear that the nightingale is flying away, far, far away. The speaker bids goodbye twice more to the nightingale using the French word adieu, which means goodbye for a long time. Line 75 to 78. The bird's sad or plaintive song grows harder to hear. Now he cannot hear the song anymore. As the bird flies from the nearby meadows, across a stream, up a hill, and into the next valley, now he can't hear it at all. Line 75, 79 and 18. Probably this is the most important line which you get in the examinations to explain. So, was it a vision or a waking dream? Fled is that music. Do I wake or sleep? Now he's talking to himself. Was it a vision? Was he imagining? Or was it a waking dream? Was he daydreaming sitting there? Now that the bird has left, the speaker is not sure if he ever entered its world at all. He thinks that maybe the experience was just a waking dream and not really true. 79-80. But has the speaker returned to the real world? Maybe the nightingale's world was reality and the real world is just a dream. Everything is topsy-turvy. Everything is not in correct order. And he doesn't know what is true and true from reality. What is true, what is fancy? He wonders if he is awake or he's sleeping. So, in this confused state of mind, he ends the poetry. And now you see the picture of Keats' house, Keats' Grove, where he stayed there. And now this picture, Keats sitting outside his friend's house where he is writing the poetry, "Ode to the Nightingale," listening to the birds sitting up there on the tree. And the nightingale, again, a magical world which he describes as a bird which sings and heals and takes humans by storm. Do I wake or sleep? He is confused. Looking up, he is seeing the bird flying away and he is asking himself, do I wake? Do I wake or sleep? Or is it all over? The poet again sits down with his writing. The poet can never be found without a notebook and a pen. And this picture, probably the last picture of Keats before he died at a very young age, holding his friend's hands, and that is very sad for somebody to die so young. And this is his grave, where he wanted it to be written. The lines, which is also quite symbolic, like, here lies the person whose name is written in the water. Probably while he was walking down the lake, he contracted with tuberculosis, and then very soon he died. Now, John Keats' biography you need to know. Born poet 1795 and died 1821. Born in London, England on October 31st, 1795, John Keats devoted his short life to the perfection of poetry, marked by vivid imagery, great sensuous appeal, and an attempt to express philosophy through classical legends. He was very emotional when he was writing, put all his senses together. In 1818, he went on a walking tour in the Lake District. His exposure and overexertion on the trip brought on the first symptoms of tuberculosis, which ended his life. Keats' death came on February 23rd, 1821. It's believed that he was clutching the hand of his friend, Joseph Severn, at that time of his passing early years. He was the eldest son of Thomas and Frances Keats, 4 children. Keats lost his parents at an early age. He was 8 years old when his father, a livery stable keeper, was killed after being trampled by a horse. His father's death had a profound effect on the young boy's life. Early poetry. But Keats' career in medicine never truly took off. Even as he studied medicine, Keats' devotion to literature and the arts never ceased. But the death of Keats' brother halted his writing. He stopped writing after his brother's death. He finally returned to the work in late 1819, rewriting his unfinished poem with a new title, The Fall of Hyperion, which would go unpublished until more than 3 decades after Keats' death. Keats wrote 150 poems, but those upon which his reputation rests were written in the span of 9 months from January-September 1819. This intense flowering of talent remains unparalleled in literary history. The odes of 1819 are Ode to Indolence, Ode to Psyche, Ode to Nightingale, Ode to the Grecian Urn, Ode to Melancholy, Ode to Autumn. So, you need to go through the lines and the explanation for your exams, and all the best. This was the last poetry. We have just one more, the Ode to the West Wind by P.B. Shelley. So we'll take a look on that. Thank you.